Hi, everybody, and welcome to the first episode of Talking Attractions. Today, we've got a very special guest, and it is Roy from Oyby. Let's take a look.
Hello and good morning from the Universal Orlando Resort. I am here today to do a tentative dice challenge. And good afternoon from Port Canaveral. Myself, Brennan, and my family are about to get onto a Disney cruise. Woo! Alright, so we're going up the lift hill. My mom's back there, Travis and Dennis. My dad decided to sit this one out.
Hi, Roy. How are you?
Hi, I'm doing great.
Good. Thank you very much for your time. Really appreciate it.
I'm so incredibly excited to do this. I love talking about theme parks and just their impact and influence on my life, so I'm ready to talk about them.
Perfect. And obviously, we've managed to sync up with the time difference. It's your 5 hours. I believe you're 5 hours behind, so it's lunchtime there, and it's just gone what we call dinner time here in the UK. So we've managed to sync it up finally to get talking about theme parks. So what I want to do is I want to go back to the beginning, if that's okay, and just talk about, do you remember your first experience of a theme park? Do you remember your first trip in a theme park? Do you remember anything about that?
I don't know if I remember my absolute first experience at a theme park. I have a lot of pictures that I am in at theme parks that I don't necessarily have a lot of memories about. I recall Epcot because I was very afraid of a lot of the rides there. I think in particular, like the Maelstrom ride in Norway, that was very intimidating to me. But that's sort of what it is. It's like it's bits and pieces of just memories, mostly just fear, I think, in recollection, of just being nervous about theme parks. So it's a kind of odd that I have this massive like love and appreciation of them now, because it wasn't like that in the beginning necessarily. And like my early memories was that they were uncomfortable places where I would have to deal with my anxieties of thrill rides or dark rides or fear of the unknown. And when it came to these like type of rides, I did not like thrill rides at all. I did not like dark, scary rides at all. But I liked theme parks, just like the environment and being there. It was like really exciting. But the peer pressure of needing or experiencing like a roller coaster or something, that was like daunting. But just when it comes to like my early memories, it was because, and I've talked about this like on my channel before, where so I've always lived in Florida. I've lived in the panhandle of Florida, and my grandmother lived in Orlando, or technically Apopka. So every year around Thanksgiving, we would come down to Orlando. It was around a 7-hour, 8-hour drive, and we would stay with my grandmother. We would do our Thanksgiving holiday here, and we would do like a family reunion. And at one point, at a particular time, generally in between Thanksgiving and our family reunion, we would go to a theme park just to sort of kind of get out of the house and give my grandmother probably just a little bit of time just alone, just because we were a big family with 3 boys and always running around. Probably so it was probably much needed for us to be distracted and go somewhere else. But just depending on where we went, there was no particular I guess place that we would end up. It was just kind of just whatever my parents wanted to go to, whatever theme park, wherever we hadn't been before as a family or been in a long time. So we would kind of just go through the various theme parks. I have like pictures of myself at Islands of Adventure, I think from 1999, which is when that park opened, which is incredible.
Wow.
I have memories of Universal Studios, of riding Confrontation and Jaws and a lot of other E.T. Back to the Future, like a lot of like opening day. I don't know if Back to the Future was, I don't think. But yeah, like a lot of like the main e-ticket opening day attractions at Universal that are not there anymore. And yeah, and some of that was a little traumatizing, like Confrontation and Jaws. They were scary, like easily. Like could be scary to a lot of people now, just how dark they were and just like the subject matter of intensity. But and I have memories of like Animal Kingdom right around the time when that opened up too. I think that opened up in 1998. And so that was just like kind of that was the origins, I guess. It's just that I was exposed to it so often, kind of annually, where we just came down here to visit with my family, but then also to go to a theme park, and we would go to a different one sort of every year. And as as intimidating as it was in terms of like a memory, in terms of the fear of thrill rides and dark rides, I still did those rides, and they're still, with me today. And I am glad that I did them, even though they were probably traumatizing at a younger age. Um, being whatever I would have been, like 7, 8 years old. And um, yeah, and then I ended up going to the University of Florida, which is in Gainesville, which is like an hour and a half, 2 hours away from Orlando. So myself and my friends, we got an annual pass like my senior year of college. So we just came down to Disney like once or twice a month generally. And we would just have massive Disney days, and just like every trip to Disney was just like this huge like park open to park close experience. That was back when Magic Kingdom wouldn't be open until 1 o'clock in the morning, which it is not anymore, you know. And then they would have like extended hours for like resort guests until like 3 o'clock in the morning. So that was just when Magic Kingdom was just open for, you know, it was just constantly open. So there was just so much time to take advantage of and ride rides there. And um yeah, like I easily got over my apprehension of like theme park thrill rides and dark rides, and I started to really like appreciate it more. And then once I kind of got over that, at that point, obviously, it was just like a full-on appreciation of just everything about theme parks, just the complete immersion and the escapism and the creative um just attention to detail that these rides are, that they're not just, you know, roller coasters and boat rides. There's this entire immersive story around it, and there's a new detail to ride every single time you ride a ride. And like that's the appreciation that just like had me continue going back. Pretty much, it's just is that particular detail, is that there's always something new to see and do every single, and I do go to Disney and Universal very often, and I do find new and different things to do every single time, so that's kind of that consistent reminder, I think.
Yeah.
Um,
So you'd say the transition then was maybe in the college times. Is that when you would say that you became more of an enjoyment rather than that kind of anxiety, nervous time? So when you were a bit younger, which is great to know, because obviously there's probably younger viewers that are watching this thinking their friends, and one word you said there was great, was peer pressure. And that's exactly how I recall being in my first theme parks and my first kind of times traveling around. And you're almost thankful for that peer pressure later in life, because you think to yourself, at the time, had I not had that peer pressure, I probably wouldn't have gone on that ride, and then I wouldn't have got to enjoy it, and then I probably wouldn't have then built up this encouragement to go on stuff later in life. So do you kind of feel that maybe there was that kind of almost like a transition between that moment where you were sort of anxious and scared to actually let's go on the bigger and the better, and then all of a sudden you're thrill seeking?
yes, so I think I sort of confronted what I was actually apprehensive about. So I do get motion sickness, but
Same,
it's like a
same here. Yeah.
particular, yeah, but it's like a particular formula of whether or not that's actually going to be an issue for me that I found out. So things that I just didn't do because I was nervous about being a burden. I think back in the day, I did not want to get motion sickness and then have to be a burden on like my family, or if I went there with like a group of friends. Because we would go on like field trips and stuff from like group events from when I lived in Pensacola and the Panhandle, where we did go to Disney, and that was hard because I'd be there with my friends, and they'd want to ride the Barnstormer, and I didn't want to ride the Barnstormer, and then it's like, why don't you want to ride the Barnstormer? It's a kiddie ride,
Mm.
as I'm I don't know, 12 years old or 13 or 14, and it was just like, to me it was like, I don't want to risk getting motion sickness. If I get motion sickness, then I'm a burden, and then I am just not having fun at all. I'm having fun just being here, walking around with my friends. But then if I am suddenly not enjoying it at all, and then I'm just that guy, and I'd rather not take the risk to continue just having fun, just being here, And
Yeah.
but then I think what it ended up being is that, for me, it's like, it's not even 3D rides or anything like that. It's like again, like that kind of particular uh circumstance of doing an attraction. Like if I skipped breakfast or something, and then I try to ride some, weird spinning 3D ride, then that might be a problem. But if I ride like a roller coaster where there's like a consistent, airflow or something, or what I'm visually seeing is matching up to what I'm physically feeling, then I'm good, And then
Yeah.
once I
Yeah.
found that out, I was just like, I can do all of this pretty much, It's just a matter of like, there are things that I might avoid, like the Simpsons ride at Universal, where it's just like, that may or may not, get to me. It depends, if I if I look at the wrong thing at the wrong time as I'm like moving like this, then that might be that quick little trigger to be like, ooh, I'm getting kind of motion sick. Like when you're riding in a car.
The Simpsons ride gets me every time.
Yeah.
I'm the same as you. So now it's just off my list now. It's one of those
Yeah.
things I've experienced twice. And because you kind of ride it first, think, oh, maybe, like you said, maybe it's circumstantial. Maybe I was a bit, obviously, because the temperature's different there. And you think, okay, maybe it's that. I'll give it a go in the second time. Did it a second time. And I was like, no, this just isn't for me. This just isn't for me. This is the ride that really just triggers everything that I don't like about theme parks in terms of because it then, I don't know if you're the same, when you get that sickness feeling, it's very hard to get rid of that in a theme park.
Yep. Oh yeah.
So that's the issue, isn't it? For example, if I ride that ride, my day's over. So I just tend to avoid spinning rides and anything, usually the drop rides as well. I'm not a huge fan of drop towers, which is quite a popular thing here in the UK. And obviously I know you've got the bigger ones over there. So yeah, the sickness and the spinning and I can feel perfectly fine and go on a ride that I've been on 100 times, and one day I just feel sick coming off it. And then I remember quite recently I went to a park here in the UK and just went on a ride and just got moved around a little bit in the wrong direction, and that was it. I couldn't ride anything else for the rest of the day. So
yeah,
I think I know what you mean. It's that there's that ride where it is very circumstantial with regards to how it is, like I said, what you've eaten, how you've eaten, and there's certain rides that I just avoid. Even at this age, it's not. It's just I think it's like you said, you get through that peer pressure stage, and then you just think, as an adult, you think, I'm just not riding it. I just don't want to ride it. I just don't want to go on it. I just don't want to.
So for me too, it's a lot about the repetition of how often I do it, so I know, like if I do worry about that, like doing a ride that I'd never done before, then there's that anxiety of just like, okay, can I do this? I won't know until I do it, but I go to Disney and Universal so often, like I just know what rides, even what particular parts of those rides could get me. So I know how to like alter that, so Harry Potter and the Forbidden Journey at Universal was a big one because when I first rode that, I had the most incredible time. It was my favorite ride ever. It was about Harry Potter. I love Harry Potter. And then I did it again, and then it made me motion sickness. It gave me motion sickness.
Okay.
And I was like devastated by that. I'm like, no, that ride cannot give me motion sickness. I refuse to have that ride be that circumstantial. Oh, I don't know. It might make me feel not great. So what's the point of doing it if there's that risk? So I kind of like learned to anticipate what the problem could have been. So for me, I think it was that flu powder part at the very beginning of the ride where you just kind of immediately start you move in the seat, as you're just kind of seeing this swirling green screen. And so for me, whenever I ride that, generally I'll just close my eyes at that part, just that one little part. I'm good with all the other screens throughout the ride. It's just that initial transition into the beginning of the ride that I think is what gets me. So that's the part. And sometimes I keep my eyes open because I'm like, all right, can I condition myself to actually get used to this now? And because I think that they've changed it somewhat recently. It's a little bit less swirly or something, but just kind of getting used to certain rides and knowing maybe what part of it will get me. So then I've been totally fine on Forbidden Journey ever since, so I know what particular part could be the problem. And that's sort of, again, a product of the privilege of just being able to go as often as I want, for sure. But yeah, so I think what was my first like big roller coaster was when it was Dragon Challenge at Universal, because I think I went there with some college friends. I think it was before we got our annual passes at all. I think maybe around my freshman year of college or something. And I'd never done like an inverted roller coaster before, and Dragon Challenge has a lot, of inversions and all sorts of different coaster terminology that I don't know. But it was like, I'm here, let's do it. Let's see if I can handle this. I am terrified because what if I get sick? What if it's just too thrilling for me and I just can't handle it? And I did it and I absolutely loved it. And that was like a huge like moment of just like, oh, I can handle every single other coaster ever now.
Absolutely.
Perfect.
And that's it. That's what we say. It's a transition, isn't it? Between that kind of fear and then all of a sudden you then turn into actually, I want to go on more. I want to do more. And then we're pushing ourselves to then do the biggest and the fastest and the newest and the scariest. And it's like a journey. And obviously a lot of people in the UK, we we're quite limited with how many we have in the UK with regards to the theme parks. But the European scene now is becoming quite big. So people are now sort of going further afield and genuinely just hunting down the biggest and the best. And obviously you're so lucky that you have such selection and such choice, not on your doorstep, but I mean,
Pretty much. I
what
mean, just within a 10-mile radius of me, and in every direction, it's cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
Enjoy
Well,
that.
that leads us on then to one of the other things I want to talk about, because I know you mentioned it earlier, the likes of Confrontation, Back to the Future. Obviously, these rides that have since moved on, are there any that you really, really miss? Are there any that you wish you could get back?
Rides that are gone that I wish that we
So
could get
rides
back.
that are gone, yeah. If you could like bring a couple back, do you know what would they be? I mean, obviously, as I said, you
Um,
mentioned a couple there, but there's obviously Jaws and there's a few others.
right. I mean, immediately, just like again, all of those Universal opening day. I think I missed Earthquake was another one at Universal, which that one was also terrifying. I was convinced that the entire ride was flooding with water and fire, and it was terrifying. And I was just like the realism of those rides, because that was, I think, Universal Studios' point, and just when they opened up Universal Studios and how they could just be any kind of a um uh like competition to Disney, is that their rides had to be real. You had to really ride the movies, and that's why and they're gone now, because I think that they were just so expensive to continually daily operate. With every 10 minutes there had to be some massive explosion, fire, water, pyro effect that continually ran, versus just like projecting on a screen every 10 minutes. It's just like that could it be like financially viable forever? And I get that, and it's a bummer. But rides like Jaws, they were like real, practical, incredible storytelling, like adventures, with these incredible effects. Earthquake, where there were hundreds of just animatronics of collapsing buildings and subway cars derailing, and gasoline trucks exploding, and water flooding and cascading over you, and electrical explosions. Confrontation, where there were just massive animatronics and show scenes that you were moving through, and these were all real rides, and just we don't
Mm.
have that anymore. And now it's kind of about, how do you make the biggest experience out of the smallest space, you know, which is fine. And I think it makes sense, on an executive level, where you can put more attractions, in a park, in an area, in a land, versus one big one. Or you can take away Jaws and you can put in an entire Wizarding World section where there's restaurants and shops and rides and shows and everything. And like, that makes sense. It makes a lot of sense, to take something that is that grand of like a real estate, especially with Universal, because they are really kind of cramped in, with what they can do there. So they have to be like creative with that. I know. But like I do miss that, and I think Universal's sort of learned their lesson with screen rides where they can help it,
Mhm.
where I think that they're aware of that and hopefully transitioning, especially with Epic Universe opening up. There's a lot of potential with that. Um, them opening up Hagrid's Motorbike Adventure was like a perfect indicator of that, where they're bringing animatronics back. They're making it more of a ride and experience, versus, you know, having the motorbike go through just like a tunnel where it's all just like 3D effects around you, and then you just kind of do a quick little, roller coaster portion of the ride. They're making it real, and I miss that. And ET is like still one of like the most longest reigning like examples of just universal, I think, ride technology, that it's very old now, and it's probably barely hanging on by a thread in terms of its like, operational dependency. But like that ride needs to exist so people can just kind of have that as a comparative to other rides that they have, and they're just like, I want more of whatever that ride was. People that have never been to Universal before, and they didn't like Race to New York starring Jimmy Fallon, and Fast and Furious, and Despicable Me, you know. But I think clearly I'm passionate about this. You know, like it's definitely universal. I think a lot of what Disney does, they generally make improvements for the most part. There's always going to be like an outlier here or there, but just like their ability to do 3D really well, like Flight of Passage over in Animal Kingdom, or just how they incorporate animatronics that are just so incredibly well done, into rides. Rise of the Resistance, that's just incomparable in terms of like what a modern theme park ride could be in terms of like a blending of multiple different types of rides and animatronics. So Disney, I fault a little bit less, but Universal, I think, needs to get back to its like what made it like really standalone from Disney versus now it's just kind of leaning into like the IP properties, sort of, just like what properties does Universal have in terms of like Fast and Furious and Despicable Me and these other rides that they just need to kind of keep that synergy going. And I get that. And that's again kind of more an executive level that I don't know anything about, but I don't know. And I guess Back to the Future was a screen ride, but it was also like a unique theme park experience, like completely based on, the movie. They had returning actors. It was a completely like new story that I think was supposed to be like canon with the Back to the Future franchise, like that was cool. Like that is awesome. But yeah, rides like Jaws, Earthquake, Twister, Confrontation, they were just like awesome.
I think what's key to those, isn't it, is that the rides matched the film. So obviously with Jaws, for example, it was groundbreaking when it was released. It was amazing, and when you look at it now and you watch it back now and you think just how was I so scared of this shark? When you're looking at it, you're thinking, but that's what the ride was, wasn't it? The ride was, it would resemble what the movie was, and when the movie was made and how good it was at the time. And that's my fear, is that they're going away from that. And like you said with ET, that's the film. That's the film. The film was very iconic at the time, and time has passed. And we're looking at the new Avatar movie, for example. We're talking CGI and incredible graphics, but actually, sometimes we just want to relive that movie. We want to relive Jurassic Park. We want to relive iconic films from when we were growing up. And I think, like you said, is when Jaws would come up, as much as it doesn't look real, you're in the movie. You're part of it, and that's what Universal should stand for, isn't it? Is we're bringing you into the movies and we're going to let you be involved and be in there. Which I think, like you said, I hope that. I mean, it seems that ET's gonna stay around. Which, as a household here, we're absolutely obsessed with that ride, and it's the ride we go to first, and it's the ride we're on last before we leave. So we hope that stays. And like you said, if we could get some of those other ones, obviously I know Kong's had like an update, hasn't it? But it's not. That's because they re-released the movie. Let's be honest, isn't it? They re-released obviously Kong Skull Island, so they updated the ride and brought the ride back. So
even that, they do what they like. They make it the most visually interesting and exciting experience. But sometimes it's not necessarily what you want. You're just kind of sitting there. You're just kind of jiggling around a little bit in your seat, and as this incredible battle with dinosaurs and King Kong are happening all around you, and it's just like, that's really cool, but that's not why I came all the way to Orlando, is to watch a movie. I want to see and experience, and then you turn the corner and there's the massive animatronic Kong, like the real animatronic, and then it's like the big wow moment, but and like they know what they're doing with that, where it's just like, look at this massive animatronic, but it's like, well, as far as the ride's concerned, I mean, wasn't King Kong just right back there in my face, flipping over me and stuff? Like, why is this King Kong supposed to be like there he is? It's like he was just there the whole time, but
yeah.
I don't know, but that's like and I'm glad that they did that, because that's kind of like the service. They did not have to do that, but that's the service to people that enjoy the practical elements of like what a ride is. People will never not be impressed by those factors. You could have the most beautifully incredible ride, that's 3D, but people just want to see animatronics. They're just cool to look at, and it makes you really feel like it's really happening.
Absolutely. So are there any, obviously there's a lot of attractions sort of coming into your area now. Are there any that you're really excited for? I mean, one stands out for me is Tron, as the Tron Light Circle. What about you? Are there any of those that you're really, really excited for?
And this is interesting, and I was thinking about this earlier, is it's like, it's weird to be a person that likes to be surprised by things, like rides or show elements or new lands or theme parks. So like there's the new Universal theme park, so Epic Universe, and there's a lot of speculation. There's been no official announcements. It's pretty well presumed what sort of attractions are going to be going there. People are able to do helicopter flyovers and take pictures and look into, particular patents that have been like released or teased. So people know what's going on over there, but I don't want to know until I'm there. For the most part, unless Universal officially announces it and they give like a quick, peek at it, or just like a look into the making of the land, or which they're going to do that. They're going to announce like what particular lands make up the theme park to make you excited. But I don't look into POVs. I really try to avoid like the aerial photos or the ones that most people look at because they get excited about it. Like when Hagrid's Motorbike Adventure was being built, there were so many like aerial pictures of that, just exactly how the train, the car was going to go, like the various animatronics that you were going to encounter along the way. And that made me sad because I'm like, no, I want to be able to actually be riding that and then encounter it and then be so blown away that I just turned around the corner and there was Fluffy from Harry Potter right there, as opposed to being like kind of, that being ruined for me. So what's weird, sort of bringing it back, is that like, I'm a vlogger, and what I do is go to theme parks and sort of relay my experience and my reactions to something, so it's like almost a little bit hypocritical, sort of, where I'm like, oh, I don't want to be spoiled by a new ride or a new land, as I'm literally going there and like showcasing and vlogging and talking about myself doing it for the first time, and what's new over here and what I think about this, and oh, look at this over here. And so that's like, it's like a weird self-reflective thing. And and I presume that people that don't want to be spoiled don't watch the videos, and I'm totally like in support for that.
Yeah, no, I
But that
think
was
I think you're right, and that's I'm the same as you. I think if you're doing it, I don't want to. I don't watch stuff. I don't follow it. For example, I haven't watched anything on the new Nintendo Land because
same.
that for me is iconic, and I want to experience this stuff for the first time. And I think what you said there with regards to vlogging is you're taking us on a journey, and you're taking us, especially obviously your UK viewers over here, you're taking us because we probably, some people will never go, so people want to see that, they want to watch that because they will never get to go. And then the people that are lucky enough to get to go, like I said, it builds up excitement. But me, I'm the same as you. Even though I do this as a hobby, I'm not interested in the latest and the updates. I'm interested in, tell me when it's going to be there, and I'll be there, kind of thing.
Right.
So I get exactly I know exactly what you mean. It's let's like you said, because there's thousands of people that do that, and they do it very well. But I just go and say, come along, let's go, let's do this. So interesting transition, though, because my next question was going to be, so we've covered sort of up to your love or your anxiety.
I was gonna say, I didn't technically answer your last question.
Oh yeah.
Yes, if I was like excited for anything. I guess I kind of did. Tron, I'm excited for it, but it's gonna be a roller coaster. It's gonna be a really cool, different sort of a roller coaster where you're holding onto the motorbike and everything. I'm not particularly excited for that, but I am excited for Epic Universe. But that's why I sort of said what I said, in the sense of like, I have an idea for what's probably going to be going over there when it comes to Nintendo or Harry Potter, DreamWorks, whatever it is, but it's like that excitement of just the unknown. So not anything in like particular, I guess, but just like what could be there and what's like hinted and teased about being there. So
yeah, I get that. And like I said, because it's on your doorstep as well, with regards to you going there. At least like I said, for the UK, we're very much anxious to know what's going on, and it's almost like a selling point to encourage us to go back another park.
You gotta.
We have to go back because there's a new park, and since we were lucky, we haven't been for a few years now, and the amount of attractions that have added to the list of things that we've never done already without what's already coming. So the longer you leave it, the list just grows and grows and grows, and before you know it, you need 3 weeks.
Thinking about that, like it's not as drastic as coming from across the ocean. But I haven't been to Disneyland, in years. And I don't know if you're like this in terms of like, you're trying to wait for the right time to go, for the right rides to be open, for, that perfect time where the refurbishments are not happening, because that's a whole part of the planning experience, I'm sure, because you want to make it worth your time and your trip to go there, so that's why we haven't been back to California in a long time, because just so much of Disneyland in particular, has been either closing or opening or transitioning into this retheme, or at Universal, like this ride is just this close to opening up. But if we wait for this ride to open up, then this ride closes for, a year. so it's been about like trying to plan the perfect time to go over there. And so we haven't been back in a long time, and we need to go back because things like the Secret Life of Pets, which is a ride that opened up at Universal there, which I think would really work here at Universal. Considering we have a New York section of the park.
Mm.
But and not having looked at POVs of that, like I want to be able to finally go and see this, and then Nintendo over there, and just so much at Universal, and then now at Disney they have particular things that are opening up soon, and so that's a big part of it too, and you definitely can relate, I'm sure, in terms of just like you need to be able to sort of see what's opening and when, because it's a financial investment of your time and your vacation, so you need to know what's happening and when it opens, and is it worth the trip.
Yeah, I think it's planning. I always plan a trip as if I'm only going to go once, so I don't want to miss out on anything, and especially when it's a big trip. I mean, see, Orlando to the UK has become more and more expensive as times go post COVID, and so yeah, the same as like you said, it's I want to be able to do it all just in case for any reason I then don't go back. If you then go all that way, so I have anxiety with regards to if things close, and even when I go to the theme park for the day, if I'm going for the day, and something closes, and I'm constantly checking to see if it's reopened, because that's kind of why I came for the day. Even though I know I'm probably going to come back, you're still thinking I need to do it all. I want to do it all. I plan this trip, and you plan every aspect of the trip, and then you kind of deliver on it, and you hope it all goes to plan.
It's kind of like, that reminds me like a kind of a funny memory when the last time that Brennan and I went to Disneyland, I was doing a video for Attractions Magazine. So I used to do videos for Attractions Magazine, and it was like a coast to coast theme park challenge where we wanted to ride Space Mountain in the morning at Magic Kingdom in Orlando, Florida, and then we wanted to ride Space Mountain in Anaheim, California, at Disneyland. And it was not that hard of a challenge at all, but it was just sort of a fun thing to do, that we could say like, oh, in the same day we rode both Space Mountains on both sides of the United States. How cool. And we got there, and just because of like the time difference and renting the car and then making it into Disneyland, and just like the time difference, like it felt like it was like 3 o'clock in the morning for us, but because of like the plane flight, it felt like it was like 5 o'clock in the morning, just like mentally. And like we were there and we rode Space Mountain, and the park was still open, and I wanted to ride Matterhorn because we don't have Matterhorn here. And it's such like a cool ride. It's that just, it's so old, and it's like this, I don't know, it's just such a unique thing. And to be able to do something that's there that's not here, and I remember talking to Brennan about it, because she was just like, I'm really tired. Like, shouldn't we just go to the hotel? I'm like, but we're here right now, and the park is open, and we can get in line for this, and we can do it. And then that's one more time that we can ride the Matterhorn than we would have otherwise. And it's a weird justification, but it's sort of like you said, like just taking advantage of every minute, and just doing the things that you're excited to do and love to do, while you have the opportunity, because otherwise, that's one less time that I could have ridden that. And in retrospect, we should have gone to the hotel probably, and just kind of relaxed, and because we needed to check in, and so, and we were going to Disneyland the next day. I think we were going somewhere the next day, so it was like maybe pushing it a little bit too much to try to do it, but it was fun. It's like a fun memory in terms of just like trying to just take advantage of it as much as I could, but also be like realistic of pushing it too much, but
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I remember the first time I ever came out to Orlando, and I was, let's just say metaphorically the same as Brennan there. I was like, no, I just want to go to sleep. I just want to relax. It's 18 hours literally from front door to there. And I was like, I just need to sleep. And then every time after that, I'm like, right, let's go. And I almost, because you kind of know what's coming, and it's like we're running on zero energy, but it's like we have to, and usually, as I said, it's usually the ET ride. After 18, 19 hours of no sleep, it's ET ride. But then what I find is that then sets me up quite nicely for the rest of it. If you stay up really late on the first night, because there's only 5 hours difference, but it's a 9-hour flight, and then you can transition that, and you wake up in the morning at a reasonable time, and you're kind of, that's it for the 2 weeks, you're good to go. So yeah, I
that's
get
funny.
that.
Doing ET after 18 hours, that's got to feel like a fever dream almost, just writing that especially the secondary part of that, where just all the aliens are just singing to you. Just
Absolutely. Yeah, half a seat.
I'd love that.
I always say with ET, it's one of the rides that I can quite literally picture like being on. If I close my eyes, I can be there. I can smell it. I can hear it. I can do it all. And that's the only ride that I can do that with in Orlando, because I've not been a huge amount of times, but with ET, I think we rode it loads when we went there. It's
It smells a
like
little different
everything about
now.
it. I've heard. I bought a candle recently as a present,
Yeah,
and it smelled like furniture polish. So we're hoping that it's the iconic smell hasn't gone. But as you say, it's obviously changed. But
it
maybe
smells
because we
like a
haven't
little.
smelt it.
It smells like cleaner. The original smell is a little bit more subtle to me personally,
Mm.
but I knew that if I smelled it, I'd like identify it. If that sounds like it makes sense.
No, it
But
does. Yeah, yeah.
the new smell is just more like potent, not like in a bad way. It's just a little bit more like noticeable.
Okay, it'd be
I'll have to
interesting
do
then
it
to see
a
that.
couple more times. Yeah.
Yeah, it'd be interesting when we go back then to compare the two. But yeah, so going back to that, so obviously we transitioned from obviously first time, and then that transition into sort of teenage and in starting to enjoy them. So when did YouTube become a thing, and
Okay.
how did that kind of become a thing that you thought, oh, this is something that we're going to roll with?
So YouTube, I'd always done YouTube in the sense of like, um, it was a fun platform to be able to just to sort of put myself just to um sort of encapsulate that moment in my life, if that makes sense. It's always been this like idea of this journal that then sort of transitioned into this like social awareness of this being like my particular social platform, like where I don't really post a lot on Facebook at all. You know, Twitter, I'm here and there, Instagram, once in a blue moon, maybe. Like, you know, like for me, sharing my life is what YouTube is, you know, like it's the most probably, you know, intimate method of showing people what I do because I upload videos, you know, 3 times a week or so. And I showcase literally what I do. And in between, like, you know, my regular job is YouTube is my life, you know, so it's even more of a look into what I do or I'm interested in than a single like Instagram picture could be or a tweet or something. Um, but I started doing YouTube. I think like I've been on YouTube since 2007, and um, like my original videos on there were just like fun little like skits that I would do with like my friends, you know, back in early high school, and and then I took a trip to Europe. So the only time that I've been to Europe was when I was 14. Um, right? It was like in 2008. So no, I would have been like 16, I guess. Um, and it was with a choir that I was in Pensacola, you know, and so we didn't get to do like a lot of like fun stuff. It was sort of at the, you know, at the mercy of the chaperone of the trip, you know, dictation of where we were going to go. We went to London and Canterbury and Paris and Rome, and a bunch of other places too. You know, so just sort of hitting the main tourism highlights of just like Europe, you know, and um, and that trip, you know, my I forget who it was, if it was my mom, you know, probably, you know, telling me that I should keep a journal of what we did that day, you know, and um, it'd be really cool to look back on later if you just sort of journal what you got to do, where you got to go, what you thought about it. But I didn't want to have to like write it down in a journal, so I just took my camera that I brought with me to take pictures and videos of just like my actual trip, and I just started vlogging myself. And you know, I don't know if this is like in the early days of what vlogging was, of like, you know, filming yourself talking at an arm's length, you know, where um it just it felt like the thing to do in terms of like this is the easiest way for me to just journal my day, as I'm just gonna record myself talking about it, you know, what we did that day and what I thought about it and who I did it with. And I uploaded that on my original YouTube channel, and like and then from there just YouTube sort of became like a place of me just to experiment with like skits and music videos and other like just creative little like ideas that I had with my friends in high school, and then that transitioned into college, and then from there just trying to be as like just to have fun, you know, like I didn't want to commit to like one particular avenue of what YouTube could be. Um, where I wanted to do sort of all of it. I wanted to do like the musical stuff, the comedy stuff, the sketch comedy stuff. I wanted to um you know, just have fun with YouTube. And I remember doing vlogs in college, not a lot, but I did do like edited vlogs sort of in the same format that I do them now, but it was for like a particular reason. Like if I went to visit New York or something, like or I went to like a place that I was just like, this will be a fun memory to look back on. It'll be fun to showcase what, you know, I did and with my friends. Um, and then I this was sort of like what transitioned into my current channel, the Oyby channel, right? So my original channel was Your Boy the Roy. That's where I just sort of did all my little projects and comedy sketches and music videos and stuff. I thought that the vlogs would clog that channel up too much, you know? And I didn't think the people that were like wanting to go look at this, edited, 3 minute long, music video, comedy sketch or whatever it was, I didn't want like all this other nonsense to have that get drowned out and lost. So I made my other channel as a place to like put my silly vlogs, my daily stuff, my behind the scenes stuff. And I thought that that could be like a fun place to do that. So that was just my channel to just put whatever, for anybody that was interested or anybody that like wanted to follow me over from my original channel. And so that was just kind of where I started to do, life on that channel. I kind of like tried to do this just to keep myself like mentally occupied and busy. I started like vlogging more. I vlogged like for 100 consecutive days when I was like transitioning, moving from college to Orlando because I didn't have a job lined up in Orlando at the time. And it was um, just like that, transition of a time I thought would be interesting just to sort of uh, look back on later, just like what did I do? Like, what did I do day to day? Like, what was the highlight of my day when I just completely moved after college without really anything going on? And I had 20-minute long videos, just me talking about me buying a couch, or something. Like, it was just like a very interesting thing to like look back on. And, so just like in between that, I'd already been going to Disney. This is jumping all over my timeline, so sorry about that. But yeah, in college, my final year of college, I got my annual pass with my friends, right? But I didn't really vlog any of it. I recorded like little bits of video here and there, and I do have regrets about that because that was like at a time when Seven Doors Mine Train was being like constructed, you know, and that would have been just like neat to see of, if I did do like a particular vlog or something with just hanging out with my friends. But to me, it didn't seem like that was like an appropriate thing to do. It was just to me, it was actually about going and having fun. I didn't need to record my time at a theme park. This wasn't some, crazy trip to Europe or New York City or something. It was just going to a theme park, having fun. And I think it just started to become this thing that I did because it was, um, I don't know, it was like that whatever combination of like just needing to keep this YouTube thing going mentally. It was a place that I just kind of uploaded my life. If I didn't have anything creative to edit together for my original channel, then it was just like a vlog about what I was doing, where I was going, and um, I guess it just started to sort of happen. That's like a long story, just to say that that's how I kind of just transitioned. It was just I've always done YouTube and I've always tried different things, and I started a new channel, and then it just sort of started happening, and I think just noticing that more people started to watch that were interested in that, that was probably the motivator to sort of build on that and kind of get better at that. And because that's something that I now compared to how I originally did it. If you look back at like some of my original theme park vlogs that I did, it was just quick clips, jumping all over the place. It was more just, about, wacky reactions and, quick edits and stuff. And now my goal is to have this narrative experience, where somebody watching could follow it from the beginning to the end and enjoy it, like they might need to have some sort of an aspect of like the like what Magic Kingdom is and the various lands of it, and everything. But like I want it to be easy to follow. I want this to be, if it's worth, putting an ad on YouTube, then I think that that's like a a mental note for me to make, that it needs to be something worth watching. It needs to be entertaining, so it needs to be like narrative. It needs to be enjoyable. So that's just kind of in the progress of just like in terms of just quality, and I've still been working on that. I always want to make these videos better or more fun, but I also want to keep it like kind of intrinsically true to the fact that it's just like me having a good time, showcasing what I'm doing, sort of hoping that it's like a comforting environment for like somebody who's watching to want to, enjoy and experience. I very much so do not enjoy the whole clickbait, or over promising of a title, you know, that some people do, because you know, for some people it's all about the views and the likes and the comments and the engagement, and that's fine, you know, because if it's somebody's full-time job, that's what they got to do, you know. But I'm at a place where you know, I'm conscious of what I'm selling, you know. So it's me going to a theme park, it's me kind of monetizing or me capitalizing on somebody else's creativity and entertainment, you know. So what's the focus of the video got to be? You know, I'm aware of that, you know. That's I don't do, you know, the Patreon stuff or, you know, or any of that, because like that's its own topic, I think, of, you know, comfort, I guess, is, you know, what I'm actually putting out there in terms of like, what am I doing as a YouTuber? But
I think, yeah, I think having watched multiple different YouTubers and things, there is that very easy kind of falling into when you watch YouTubers. And again, I don't know if you tend to watch many others, but where you kind of see that happening, where you see the content start to change because there's that extra thought into monetizing. There's the introduction of obviously sponsored videos. There's the introduction then of just sometimes you just see it sort of start to change. And then personally, that's when I sort of start to lose interest, because like you said, it's a personal factor. And what I'm really glad about, as you covered there, is that you spoke about the kind of bringing people in, because I can recall the first video during lockdown here. Obviously there's thousands of Orlando vloggers and YouTubers, and I recall we watched your first video, and it was the challenge video, which we'll go back to in a second. But I watched your first video, and then I recall there was like a live conversation. I can't exactly remember when and how, but I remember you said something about the storing of memories and having a place to store memories. And I sort of sat there and I said, that's one thing that's what YouTube is. I mean, I've never looked at it that way, and I thought, why are we not utilizing YouTube for this place to store memories? I mean, everyone's got photos on their phone and videos on their phone, but how many have these memories that they can look back on? And that's when I sat down and genuinely you inspired me to, and I was like, well, I'm going to do the same. So it was grabbing family members, going on days out, going on trips, and doing these things, but not vlogging them, just recording them, and then posting them on there, keeping them private, and then realizing, actually, okay, maybe I share this with other people. And obviously my nieces and nephews and stuff, they're very much like, they want to be on YouTube because it's a very sort of trendy thing to do. And you watch them and they want to be on it. So then you start publicly posting things, and then but then you've just got this place where you've got all these memories built in. And as I said, let's go back to the first video we watched was the challenge video. I remember it came on as a suggested video on, I think it was on Tim Tracker's side, and it came as a suggested video. And instantly we were hooked, because it's the creativity that you bring to what you're doing as well as everything else. And I'm just going to, obviously, let's insert some clips now to have a look at what we're talking about. And obviously we'll link the video down below, but let's just have a look at the video that we're talking about.
Hello and good morning from the Universal Orlando Resort. So, a couple weeks ago I came to Universal Studios Florida and to Islands of Adventure right over there, and I attempted to ride every single attraction at both parks. That is 14 attractions here and 16 over at Islands, totaling 30 attractions in one day. I failed that challenge, and it was a challenge that I never thought I would do again, and yet here I am to attempt that identical challenge again. So what I am convinced foiled my challenge attempt last time was the Hogwarts Express, because I decided to ride that at around 2 o'clock in the afternoon, which is probably when everybody wants to ride it, to be able to go to the 4D, blast you in the face with water. It's interesting. It keeps me on my toes. The same consistency applies to attraction pre-show, so some rides are utilizing their pre-show, and then others you're just walking straight through to the platform. I think it's interesting, but I feel fortunate at least that I'm completely done with Universal Studios, and now I can just focus on Islands of Adventure, and I'm not waiting in a line right now for an hour to take me over to Islands, and I can just freely walk over at my own comfort. It is awesome. All right, so I made it over to Islands of Adventure. I'm feeling really confident with time right now, which is great. There are a few clouds rolling in, so I'm a little bit nervous about the weather, but I'm not really concerned quite yet. But there are a plethora of outdoor attractions here comparatively to Universal Studios, so we will see what ends up happening. Okay, we are off of Popeye and Bluto's Bill Jet barges. I have my little fan here to try to dry out my mask a little bit. I remembered that we both remembered to take it off that time, but I forgot for W rides. Next time you see us, the next clip, I will have either completed this challenge or failed miserably. So this is posting a 40-minute wait, but as long as we get in line before the park closes, we should be good to go. And there goes the Incredible Hulk roller coaster with nobody on it because the park is officially closed. It is almost 7:30 at night, and Brendan and I just rode it, which means, Brendan, I did it!
So obviously with that there, what your aim there was obviously to ride everything in Universal Islands Adventure in one day, which I can imagine you called it a challenge. I imagine that was quite challenging to be able to do that.
Yeah, no, and I did it. If I recall, I did not succeed the first time, and then it bothered me, so I had to go back and I did it a second time, and then I actually did do it the second time, and that was just a point of pride with myself, is I didn't. I don't like to not succeed in what I set out to do, especially if I can like pinpoint the particular times where I messed up, or if something had gone a little bit differently based on a decision that I made, if I can rectify that. And I didn't want to re-upload the same video, but at the same time, that's when how you talk about just how it's a memory, it's, I'm allowed to do something again another time. I'm allowed to give something another try. Like, it doesn't have to be like me trying to get this clout or something, or me just like re-uploading the same, content because, the first one got a certain amount of views. It's like, no, it was about me wanting to have something fun to do that day and utilizing my like knowledge of theme parks and it sounds bad, but like taking advantage of the particular time period to get it done, So I think a lot of what was kind of influential of doing stuff like that is, obviously around the time of, like COVID, when, parks reopening and stuff, like it was a little bit more of a bleak time in theme parks, because it was questionable, based on who you'd ask, if these were appropriate places to open or to go to attend, to be seen at. And a lot of like vloggers that were going to the theme parks that I noticed, most of them were sort of there as a point of coverage, as a point of like relaying that information. I'm sure that was curious to a lot of people. How are they dealing with this? And is it worth my time to go? For a lot of people, it was not, because so many of the rides were closed. None of the entertainment offerings were there. It was a very uncomfortable place to be with social distancing and just the opportunities that they offered. And that's why, like, that particular time, the parks were very quiet, and it was a weird thing to be excited about, because it was very weird to go to Universal and there was nobody there. It's something you wanted to celebrate, but then at the same time, it was uncomfortable, but I also didn't want to be one of those vloggers that was just sort of covering, the distancing markers and the trash cans and, the just all of those kind of more, important, but then also a little bit more bleak aspects of that time period, so that was the idea of like wanting to, and I'm not the first person to do a theme park challenge by any means at all, but that's where I have the most fun, because I think that's what's about keeping the theme parks fresh, is like having a new, reason to do something like that, and for like a lot of people, like such as yourself, I'm sure, where, you have a particular amount of time, a limited amount of time that you are able to be here, so you have your own structured schedule of the things that you need to do, the things that you might do if you have the time for it, then the things that you don't need to do, so being able to do like a challenge is, again, sort of that privilege of I can do this at any point, and I have the full day to do this if I want to, and it's just like, it's a cool thing to do, and I'm sure that it's fun for other people to watch too, who they have their own agenda that they need to adhere to because they're only here for a certain amount of time. But at the end of the day, just that's fun. Doing challenge videos is fun. I always have like this like internal like Rolodex, these like the cogs that are always going in terms of like how I want to do some sort of a challenge. But a lot of that is contingent on certain rides that are open or closed for a refurbishment or park reservations now, and these other factors. But Universal, like that, like doing every single ride, I don't think it's possible to do it again, because the parks are now, back at full capacity. And yeah, so it's hard, you can't just kind of walk onto all these rides, or you can't try to utilize that extra time that you have and minimal people there to do it, So that was like a very conscious awareness, is that, it's never going to be like this again in terms of just like the minimal amount of people that are here. So for me to say I rode every single ride at both Universal and Islands of Adventure in one day, like that's cool. That'd just be like a cool little, badge that I can just make for myself and say that I did it.
Anyone that's
yeah.
watching, Roy needs a badge to say that he's ridden everything.
Yeah, I need a little
Universe.
sticker here.
I'm sure Jabba will get you sorted with that one. Great with that is that makes you original. I mean, there's loads of videos of obviously similar to stuff that you do on a regular basis, which is going around and looking at stuff, and I think the challenge video just breaks that up really nicely, and it just gives us a different, like you said, a different prospect to visit. Realistically, like you said, if anyone's traveling, we're probably not going to do that. But also I think I'm the same here, where I visit the UK parks quite a lot. I am going to be not specializing, that sounds crazy, but I'm going to be going down the challenge route, because you go there so often. You find yourself doing the same things, eating the same food, doing this, doing that. So what a challenge does, I'm sure you'll be an ambassador for this, is it makes you do things differently, out of your comfort zone, and looking at things and riding stuff that maybe isn't your go-to on a daily basis. So I think it's great, and I think it's one of my most favorite parts of what you do is those challenges, and I think it's incredibly original and really great. So in terms of a video, would you say, because of the accomplishment from that's probably your favorite video?
It's one of them, like, for sure. Like, to think about like what's my favorite video, doesn't have to be the one that like got the most views or most interaction or comments or anything like that. No, because a lot of the times I don't know how the algorithm of YouTube works sometimes. Like the ones that I don't anticipate at all, being that conversational, are ones that end up having the most conversation and comments, and that's kind of overwhelming. So that's like another aspect of YouTube that is kind of intimidating, is that you never really know what you put out there in terms of just like how it's going to do, right? You're kind of at the mercy of that algorithm and the discretion of people that watch. Like, so I think about that, right? And I think my most popular video is me going to Universal to Diagon Alley and showing off all of the different wands and like the wand magic in Universal. And that one has over 1 million views, which is like just not fathomable to me,
Wow.
And the amount of comments that I get on that video consistently, is it's a lot, and in those comments, people kind of pick apart, particular things, if I mispronounced a word, or just other like regrets that I have, because this video was originally intended for an audience of, maybe back when 500 people watched the video, and I got a couple of comments a video, so for to get to that level of like popularity of engagement is like intimidating. So like since then, it's been this awareness, and that's not me trying to be like haughty about it or pretentious, where it's just like, you never know, everybody that you put out there could suddenly get big, and then you're at the scrutiny of every little thing that you said or you got wrong, or your opinions about everything, so it's not been like an inhibitor to me, like making videos, but it's been just like an awareness. And I don't know where that tangent came from, but in terms of what videos are my most favorite, it's probably the challenge videos, or like the ones that I think are more creative, because those do have the potential maybe to be a little bit more viewed by people, probably,
Remember there's one clip in a video, and I can't remember when, and I remember just being starstruck by it almost. It was when you had the time travel scene in one of your videos, with a dinosaur car, and I watched that, and I rewatched it, and I rewatched it, and I rewatched it, and maybe that's just because of the way I am with regards to it, but I remember that and just thinking to myself, this guy's so creative. On a genuinely on a different level, where it's the stuff that you're doing, it's just great to watch. And going, just addressing that comment you say there are people that are very quick to comment with regards to, like you said, saying something wrong, or and believing that you're wrong in it, and then they're challenging it, and that's social media as a whole, I think. And I think it's very important to kind of find a nice divide between that. I mean, comments wise, I tend to try and respond to, but then there's certain times when you think, I can't bring myself to respond, because like you said, especially with 1 million views, I imagine you're talking thousands of comments. it's very easy for people to sit there and go, actually, you'll find that that's this or that's that. But never lose heart on that, because I think that's just a common thing with YouTube, no matter how many you do it. So my advice to be anyone that's doing that, be prepared, or turn the comments off, or just do it, because there will always be, no matter how amazing the video could be, the best video ever, and someone will find something in there that just doesn't quite add up. And like I said, I'm sure you're the same with regards to the comments. So so obviously that was the first one I remember watching, and as I say, that was COVID here, so that was probably 2020, so relatively new to the channel, but there's a lot of videos on there. You've got a lot of material, which is and like I said, it's very easy for anyone that hasn't watched your channel, and obviously I encourage anyone to go over there and have a look, that you can just watch videos, because every video is different. Whereas with some people, you'll find, like I said, it's you go to a park, you go to a park, you go to a park. With yours, you're at a park, then you're at another park, then all of a sudden there's this creative video with regards to like the dice. Obviously the dice dictating your day and bits and pieces, and there's just so much entertainment there. So please just keep doing what you're doing, because we love it, and I'm sure everyone else does as well. So
I was going to say that it's not one that's actually on my channel, because when I did videos for Attractions Magazine, my goal for over there, and that sort of transitioned into my own channel, was like, I wanted my videos to be different. I didn't want to just be somebody that went to a theme park and just like vlogged updates or ate food, because I was like, other people do that and they do it better, so like, what can I do that's like different or weird? And and then that would lead to like the dice challenge or something, where I would just get these like foam dice, and I'd be able to write with like marker on them a theme park or a type of ride, or an activity to do, or a direction to do, and I could roll the dice and I could just see what it said to do, and it was cool. And a lot of people do that kind of stuff where they're like, oh, Siri dictates my day at Disney World, or Instagram followers tell me what to do, and it's like a type of that video, but it was just like, I needed to be like, what it was, it's just like, what's in the toy aisle at the dollar store, because there's so many just like weird, wacky little like creative things there that are just meant for kids. I'm a kid at heart, and it's just like, how can I take that thing, and make it relevant to a theme park? How can I like use that and make it like a fun thing to do? So I have the Magic 8 Ball back over here somewhere that I shake sometimes, and the dice, and like using like a random number generator to tell me like what particular thing to do on a map, or it's just like, for me, going to the theme parks as much as I have, you'd think like, does it ever get old? Do you ever get tired of it? Like, because I don't want to be that person that rides Big Thunder Mountain Railroad and just films himself, and it's just like, because it's like, that's not, I don't think, entertaining. I hope it wouldn't be entertaining, for people. So I intended to, try to make it a little bit different for myself. Yeah, that's like the main point of it. That's why I keep doing it, because it is entertaining and it's fun. Right. So, to just find a different way to explore it and enjoy it, if I can do that. And sometimes it's a lot, because I do work a full-time job. So to use my day off to then go to Magic Kingdom from like 8 a.m. until midnight, to make one singular video with this one like weird idea, in the moment it's challenging and it's hard. And then the editing process could be just hours long of just like footage to like siphon through and to condense. But then when that video is like edited and it's uploaded and people seem to enjoy it, and then it's a video that I can look back on, I can scroll back through my YouTube, catalog, and I can just see all these like little fun adventures I had, like that's what makes it worth it, like, where it's something that I can look back on.
Like you say, a lot of people don't realize how long a video can take, isn't it? Like you said, you're there all day and you're clipping the highlights, aren't you? You're making a highlight reel of your day or whatever you've got up to, and there's a lot of time where you're stood in queues and there's this and that people don't see on, unless you obviously you do it regularly. People don't see that. And they said when they're editing as well, if you want to do a relatively good job, again, there's hours there, isn't there? So I hope people appreciate the fact that there is what you're doing is incredible with regards to doing a job, but also doing this. But I think the key thing is, and I think you've covered this on live, is that it doesn't, you love doing it. So it's not a chore, because you love doing it. I guess
right.
That's still the same now, isn't it?
Yeah, for sure. And then that's where it, like, I find the monotony of it all. And some people only go to Disney, some people only go to Universal, and I want to go to all of it. Like, my goal is, if I have the same video uploaded back to back, then I messed up, right? So if I go to Magic Kingdom and then I don't have anything else that I want to do or showcase, and then I go to Magic Kingdom again, then that's like a problem in terms of just like me finding something to do. And I don't want to force it by any means, but the ability to go somewhere different and new and for a new reason, or to ride this ride again, or to see, if there's an update over here to showcase or to talk about, or even going to Disney Springs, and I do like little home videos around the house, if it's just like something that I just, feel the need to kind of like update on personally, because I still use my channel for like those personal life updates, because I don't want to be just a theme park channel, and for some people I am, and that's like totally fine. But like my channel has always been just this complete combination of different things, and before the theme park stuff, I just vlogged myself, just like around the house, and those videos now can be a little bit cringy to look back on because it was, a decade ago almost. But at the same time, they're there for me to be able to look back on and cringe at, and that's okay. I think, like
it's better to have them than to not have them, isn't it? Sometimes, like you said, as much as they maybe not the best video, but
it's there, and it's fun to kind of look back on, even if I, cringe a little bit, but it's somewhere to know that I started or how it transitioned to where I am now, that I think is the important part. And and then now I'm very much so a theme park person, obviously, but how I'm able to kind of incorporate my home life here, and just like, because it's fun to look back at, like even if it doesn't seem like the most interesting like video at home, I don't ever really want to do anything that's like absolutely boring. If it's not something that I find interesting, then I would not record it and edit it and upload it. But when I go back and look at various home videos throughout the years, and I can just see how slowly, the kitchen looked different, or there were different posters on the wall, and it's just like, that's what's important to me, because it's like I can remember when it was a different setup, and it's like, that is me uploading my life, and it's subtle, but it also breaks up the monotony of like going to Magic Kingdom every day and riding the same rides, and if I do go to the theme parks, then it's like, how do I make it different? How do I make it fresh? Or if I just haven't been in a long time, to SeaWorld, it's fun to go back to SeaWorld and just walk around and have fun, so there's like that kind of like cycle of like trying to find stuff that is relevant, that is interesting to me, that is relatable, somebody that might want to watch it, and that's just not repetitive, I think, is like a lot of the main goals.
I think you're right. And what's the way I look at it is, I think that sometimes, especially when you're younger, I do this all the time, and I say, I remember doing that, but it's not that I actually remember doing that. What it is I remember watching a video of me doing that for the home movies as a child, for example, and doing these things, and you you almost use them as memories. And like you said, it's now that transition where we've got this platform that actually you can put all these memories on there, and it would just trigger these emotions and these feelings, and I think it's great. But one thing I do want to do, because one thing I absolutely love, obviously, is the introduction of your close-knit family into your channel. It's almost like a documentary sometimes with the characters you've got there, and one of my favorite moments of is when you went back to surprise your mum. You took a surprise trip back and you surprised her, and her reaction to when she saw you is possibly the most heartwarming thing I've ever seen. But I want to put that clip in now so everyone can see it, because it is absolutely beautiful. Let's have a look.
Going to be waiting in that chair. Dennis is going to go, I think, just stand over there and film it, and we're just gonna catch her by surprise. And that sounds super simple, but hopefully it's surprising.
Roy Hornsby, oh my goodness!
Hi.
I'm just not believing myself. Roy! Is Brennan here too?
No, just me.
Oh my word, I can't believe this! Oh, Roy, I just can't believe this!
Wait, stand next to each other.
Hornsby? You got this a surprise. I'm proud of you. He's not good at surprises.
No, you did a great job.
Oh my gosh, Roy.
Only Dennis knew about it.
Oh, Dad didn't know about it either?
No, I'm surprised, didn't you?
Oh, no wonder you. I just can't believe this. I am so shocked. My heart's going 90 to nothing. My heart's go, oh my.
She looks over at the camera in the corner, just like, oh, I knew nothing.
That she's an amazing woman, and I think what it does is your family add value to your channel. They are such good characters, all of them, in their own way, they add value to, and like you said, you've now got their memories. So how important is it to have them in your videos?
So it's incredibly important, right? Because at the end of the day, this is, it's me uploading my life. It's me having these adventures, me editing them together in a concise way, right? To present them to strangers on the internet, but then at the same time, they're there for my family to look back on. And my parents watch all my videos. And I think about that too, and if I do something in a video that I feel like I'm gonna hear from them about, I probably will hear from them about, in terms of just that, like keeping me in check, just knowing that my parents watch my videos. But that is so, it's heartwarming, and it's incredible that they do watch them, because they do support me in what I do, and just sharing and showcasing my adventures in my life, and I think that it's important to put them in the videos so that I can look back on them, right? So at this point, doing YouTube as long as I have, I've, showcased like family members that have since passed, right? And that could be like a very sad thing, but it's a thing that I can celebrate too. And that I was able to capture like moments and experiences, and like real, just true family values that we have and get to share together, like various trips that we would go on, and like, so that is super special, because you never know. I mean, this can work with relationships too, and just how life is and how many right turns there can be, that life is life, and life can change a lot, and I don't think there should be any shame in that. And I think it's a celebration of just like where you started and where you are now. And that journey can just be all over the place, for everyone. And that's what I think the magic of YouTube is that it is like almost a documentary. It's this edited presentation of an adventure, but at the same time, like beyond that, is me and my life, right? And to be able to like put my parents in videos, and to be able to put my brothers in videos, and like, it's special, and I often find myself like being upset if like I'm not able to record something to put it on YouTube. My brother recently went to Australia and New Zealand, and my other brother travels a lot with his wife, and my parents have like recently went up to the Smoky Mountains, and they're all having their own trips, and I miss out on that. And I'm like, oh, I wish that I was able to record it and put it on YouTube. And I don't want that to be like an obsessiveness, that if it's only worth doing, or it's only worth doing if I'm able to record it, but at the same time, I sort of like being my family is like a documentarian, to be able to like take these experiences and condense them and make them just fun to just watch, whether or not you're rewatching it, or whether or not you're just a stranger watching it in the first place, to like make it something that's fun to see, because it's a weird thing where, like, if you think about it, like, it shouldn't be entertaining to watch somebody else's family do something, so that's, I think, comes from a place of investment, and familiarity. If you know who they are, and you start to pick up on their personality traits and everything, and like the video that you just showed, where like just my mom reacting like that, she isn't reacting for the camera, and she isn't trying to be, over the top about it. She was just really excited to see me there, because that was when it was very challenging to travel, and so it was something that I know that she looked forward to, because we don't get to go home that often anymore. So whenever we do get to go home, she gets so excited. When she gets to come down here, it's because she's excited to go on an adventure, and recently I also, not really recently, but I visited my brother Dennis, and then I coordinated a surprise for my parents to surprise Dennis, my brother, where we were sitting in a cafe having lunch or something, and they came up from behind and surprised him, and he was so excited. And I don't need that my channel to be this like, jump scare, exciting reaction, sort of place, but the fact that I was able to capture those moments, it is so special and fun. And I also surprised my other brother Travis. I flew to wherever he lived at the time. I think it was St. Louis, and he was not expecting me to show up. And then I walked up, and his jaw just dropped, and just like those real moments are so cool to capture, and then like and be able to look back on.
They're so genuine. That's
Right.
how they come across. They come across as super genuine.
There's the potential of like oversharing, and I try to abide by that line. If somebody does not want to be recorded, then that is like very reasonably okay, because again, you're at the scrutiny of strangers, and of the comments that they can make about, a particular insecurity that you might have, or an opinion that might be like disturbing, because it's the internet, and there are going to be those comments like that. So like I'm aware of that, at least for the time being. I think I'm enough of like a small YouTuber where I can sort of get away with that. The bigger that you get, I think you're at the more discretion of the internet, so it might be more of an idea to kind of privatize that aspect of life. And I understand that. So I think I'm taking advantage of it while I'm able to, if that kind of makes sense, where I do like showcasing my family. I do like showing what we do together. I do like showing their reactions and opinions and POVs and everything. And I don't intend to hide that at all unless it's like their preference, which they love being like in videos. And, every time we do like a family trip together, and I upload the videos, they let me know that they've rewatched the entire series, just to see how I showcased our experience and captured that like memory. And it means a lot to them. So as long as it means a lot to them, then I'm happy, in terms of how they are on my channel.
And it's important that they obviously want to be involved, but what I really enjoy you saying there is that they are watching your videos, which I think is, again, that summarizes what YouTube should be about. I think it's a platform that can be used in such an amazing way that if we use it correctly, and it's why obviously people subscribe and watch you, because they're coming along with your journey, and your family are doing the same. It's just, and that I think as a YouTube channel, as an Oyby channel, that's kind of the way I would summarize it. Is it's just everyone's involved, everyone's kind of part of it, and like you said, there's a fine line between information and too much information. But I think because of the theme park sharing and the family sharing and everything else, and then the trips away and the screen time and how comfortable they are on screen as well. I mean, Dennis is hilarious. No disrespect, but some of your funniest clips are of Dennis, because he's
an
so
actor,
funny.
he's an entertainer. One of my like biggest, not one of my biggest like insecurities, but one identity branding thing that I don't know how to address is that what I don't do is I don't say who I am, right? Like it's weird that I don't need to, but I just sort of start every video, and I don't even need to be in the clip sometimes. It's just me being wherever I am, and just like, today I'm gonna go do this, and I'm gonna try to do this, and then I'm gonna go try to, and people still watch that, where you'd think it'd be reasonable to be like, hello, my name is Roy. Welcome to my channel, Oyby. This is what I, Roy, am doing in this video. And it's like, that self-consciousness of just like, people have to actually be invested to kind of care who I am, right? And if I'm doing that right, then that's pretty cool. Like I think about that a lot, where I like, how do people even know that my name is Roy? Because I never even say it. How do even people know that this is the Oyby channel, if I don't advertise it or make a big deal out of the brand, as I'm wearing my own shirt, obviously. But yeah,
And
so I think about that.
I think I think obviously I've not ever sort of been with you in the parks and stuff, but I feel like the material that you make, it makes everyone feel like they almost know you. So I can imagine when you are approached, it's a little bit not overwhelming, but I can imagine there's that kind of people coming up to you, and like you said, you are on not a smaller channel, because I said the material is amazing, but are you still overwhelmed when people do come up to you and obviously are interested in you as a person?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And that's why what's so cool is that anybody that I've like ever talked to is just like, they're so enthusiastic, and they're like, what I think the goal is of YouTube, I'm going to go off on a tangent on every question apparently, but what I think the goal of YouTube is that you want people to watch your videos that are just like you. I don't want to like trick and contort a video thumbnail or title or content just to get all of these different views, because then it'd be like the million view wand video where everyone's commenting from, outside of the theme park bubble and, being condescending or judgmental about me, and what I like is that people that approach me are people that like really watch the videos and are just like me, right? Where they are enthusiastic about the parks. They are just so passionate about just having a good time, about family, and just like what that entertainment value of the parks is, and, so that's always like incredibly humbling. It's just every person that I meet is just so sincerely nice. You know, they're so invested and interested in not only the theme parks, but just my experience getting to see that through the theme parks, getting to see like a very familiar place, you know, but just with my take on it, you know, and it's like, it's so cool, you know. And what I do get nervous about, and I talk to Brennan about this a lot, you know, where nobody's perfect at any given amount of time, right? You know, so like I could be, you know, filming myself talking about something, and then I'll put the camera down, I'll scratch my nose, you know, or I'll, you know, just I'll be real for a second, and then it's like it's those moments where I'm just like, you know, is this when somebody's like looking at me from across, you know, the Magic Kingdom town square, you know, where they're like, wow, he looks really bored, you know, I bet he actually hates theme parks. He's only here just to get views and subscribers, you know, and so that's like an awareness that it's like, I don't think that's actually like realistic at all, you know, but to be aware of like, you never know, you know, when you need to be on, you know, or if I get upset because I couldn't get a lightning lane for a certain ride, and I have a moment where I just kind of, you know, pout to myself, you know, and somebody sees that from you know, a few feet away, and they're like, wow, he's throwing tantrums, you know, and he has anger issues. It's you know, something that's, again, just kind of silly to think about, but I haven't had that be a problem, at least yet, so that's nice. So when people do come up, it's always like really pleasant. But yeah, I'm always humbled by that.
Yeah, and that's it. Like you said, I can imagine with celebrities, because you feel like there's always eyes on you, and especially when because I imagine a lot of people waiting for you to finish recording, for example, because they know the etiquette, and I'm sure there's others that don't, and they're kind of straight in there, and so I can imagine there's people kind of stood to the side, kind of waiting.
It does happen like off, like maybe one every other trip or something. Maybe just like a couple will come up to me, or someone, you know. So it's rare, and like, yeah, like it doesn't happen every time, and you know what it does. That's just kind of like it's really nice. And if I hope they're not waiting for me to like stop recording, because I have this thing where I kind of keep recording the same thing over and over again. If I mess up one word, I'm like, I'll just redo it, you know. Or if I'm trying to film something over here and some guy walks past and is just kind of picking his nose or scratching his butt or something, I'm like, that's not the most aesthetic thing to watch as I'm trying to say what I'm trying to say. I'll just redo it again, you know. So I hope people aren't like just standing there waiting as I'm just trying to say the same thing over and over again. Otherwise I'll look a little bit, you know, cuckoo.
Absolutely. So is there much signed Roy merchandise around? Does anyone ask for the famous autograph?
No, not
yet.
Not that I remember. No, yeah, it's usually just like people coming up and just kind of saying hi. People maybe will take a quick selfie or something like that, which that to me is like, it's a level of like celebrity that is just not at all relatable. You know, people, I get it where it's just like, oh, I want to like remember that I met you here, you know, versus like a point of bragging or anything like I met Oyby at Magic Kingdom, you know, because it's.
I think 2023, the selfie is the new autograph, isn't it? To be honest, it's
I think so.
If you can get a selfie with people, it's definitely the go-to. I mean, I've met a few people in the past and maybe haven't come across in the nicest of way when you've seen them and stuff. But you understand that everyone's got somewhere to be and doing stuff. But like I said, I can imagine that's still very rewarding because of the reasons you're doing the videos, to have people genuinely just appreciate you as a person. That must be quite nice.
And what is kind of cool too is there's like, like an awareness of like transparency, you know, where like a lot of people don't disclose everything on the internet because it's the internet, you know. People are naturally curious. So like stuff that I wouldn't share maybe like on YouTube, like in a particular video, you know, like what I do for a living, or just things that I'm a little bit more private about, you know. Like when I actually meet them and I have that real human interaction with them, I feel much more like comfortable to talk about that stuff, just like conversationally. So that's sort of like a benefit, I think, of like, I'm not trying to advocate, you know, oh, if you meet me in person, you can ask me all the personal questions, you know what I mean? But like at the same time, it's like a cool experience to have, just like actually talking to somebody like in person, and just kind of, you know, because people have curiosities and questions and stuff, and I'm, you know, excited to just ask them the same sorts of questions, and you know, so I like those interactions more than, you know, kind of anonymous, YouTube commenting, you know what I mean? Because it's like, it's a real person. Like they're representing an actual person that sits behind a computer or a television and watches my videos and enjoys it. So I think that they definitely deserve the time of day, to just have
Yeah.
like a cool conversation with, because they're always very interesting to talk to and very excited.
Absolutely. Like you said, everyone, what you draw in, like you said, is people that are similar, people that have the same interest. And obviously, if you're in a park and they're in a park, you've got that in common straight away. So there's something to talk about, isn't there? Straight away, you can talk about where you are, what you're doing, and everything else. And yeah, I think it's great.
Mostly it's just like the likelihood of just intersecting, people coming from the UK happening to be at the same park in the same location that I happen to, because I don't go all the time, I go every here and there. I shuffle around where I am and what I do and why I'm at whatever theme park that I'm at. So just the chances of that like meeting happening is like incredible, and I think about that all the time. We're just like, what were the chances, that this couple from thousands of miles away and me would be in the same spot at the same time, even at a place that I go to often, but still just like, it's exponential, just like the potential of that happening.
Yeah,
cool.
as you say, it's huge, isn't it? And for you to bump into for anybody that you might recognize. I mean, I had it recently when I went to Disneyland Paris and I walked out of a shop and someone said my name and I kind of ignored it because I'm thinking I'm not gonna know anyone here. And lo and behold, it was a friend literally stood outside the shop and I was like, what are the chances of this being here on the same day at the exact same time? And yeah, like you said, I can imagine there's that almost excitement from them to have done that, to kind of bumped into you because they've obviously watched your videos. And I associate when you watch people on TV, there is that kind of, not starstruck, but if you watch them on the TV, it almost it kind of elevates people to kind of a different status, doesn't it? So I think when you see people like that, I think it's always good to, and for anyone obviously that is going to come up to you, at least that way they know that, or what we say is wait until you finished your fourth take or your fifth take of the same thing, and as long as they they can then come in. Yeah, absolutely. So lastly, I'm conscious of time. Obviously, I know you've got bits and pieces, and as you say, there's lots to do. We have a segment at the end, which I have briefly gone over with you, that we're going to create your theme park based on the attractions we have in your area there. So we're going to be talking about Magic Kingdom, Epcot, Animal Kingdom, Hollywood Studios, Universal, and Islands of Adventure. So what we're going to do, I will list off the park. We're going to create a park. So what I would say, so when you create this theme park, this Roy's theme park, are you going to go down the avenue of your favorite places, or are you going to try and build a park that would sustain the market that we're at, so a variation of rides, or are you just going to pick your favorites?
So like pick my favorites or
make sure there's like a nice mix of, for example, if you're creating a park based on 2,
like,
4, 6, 8,
like
10,
thrill
12
rides and water rides. Okay.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
What I think I might do, it might end up being both. I'm trying to like kind of go through my concepts of like what I think I would choose for each park. So it might end up being both, because
okay.
Like each park has like a variety of different types of rides that are my favorites for those reasons.
Of course, right. Let's start off with them with Magic Kingdom. So 2 rides from Magic Kingdom into your dream park. What are we going with?
I'm going to go.
And obviously, you can discuss or elaborate as to why, or if there's sort of tough decisions, because I'm assuming when we get to maybe Universal Islands of Adventure, it's going to be a lot more difficult to make decisions. But yeah, so let's start with Magic Kingdom.
Magic Kingdom, I'm going to go with Big Thunder Mountain. And I'm going to go with Jungle Cruise, I think.
Interesting. Is there a reason for those? Is that just a combination of water and thrill, or is there more of a...
So it's a combination of just like the different type of attraction, but then at the same time, I'm trying to think about the ability to, I guess it's my theme park, so I can do whatever I want to, right?
Absolutely.
But like a hybrid of these. So like Jungle Cruise, but then, put Jungle Cruise next to Big Thunder Mountain Railroad, or vice versa, so it's Jungle Cruise through, the rivers of the world, and then also maybe like incorporating that through Big Thunder Mountain Railroad. Very different geological situation with that, but if it was a fun hybrid, that could be pretty cool. But those are also just two of my favorite rides. Like Big Thunder Mountain is just absolutely iconic, just cosmetically in terms of what it adds to Magic Kingdom. And the Jungle Cruise, I just always thought was like a really fun, unique ride, you know, in terms of kind of calling back to the Universal stuff about it being like a real practical ride with like animatronics effects. It's an outdoor ride. You don't really get that anymore, you know. It's in terms of just like how they do like rides at Disney, you know, like animatronics generally would need to be indoors, you know, and then roller coasters are not roller coasters, yeah, but yeah, roller coasters are not as themed anymore as they are, as, you know, Big Thunder Mountain. So yeah, that's Magic Kingdom, I think.
Yeah, good. Yeah, it's a good start, strong. So we then move on to Epcot, which might be a little bit easier, maybe.
Okay, Epcot is going to be Spaceship Earth for sure, and would it need to be? Would it need to? Like, is it a ride that exists right now?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. All right. Yeah. So I'll do Spaceship Earth, and then I guess I'll do Test Track. I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. Guardians of the Galaxy is phenomenal, but I don't think that IP fits in with my mental theme park. I think.
The theme park yeah, it's your dream, it's your park, so absolutely. What I've noticed, so we've got a good looking park with we've got the Thunder Mountain, and now we've got the big Epcot there as well. So it's a good looking park. Personally, the only one I will say is I would jump towards Soaring if I was looking at an Epcot park, on the basis I think it's probably, but then obviously we've now got Animal Kingdom, which I think there's a very similar style ride there. So if we move on to Animal Kingdom, what two are you taking from there?
I think that I'm moving. I think Flight of Passage is very well done. It's a lot of fun, but I think I'm trying to move away from the screens. I think in terms of like me envisioning rides, it's me like actually riding the rides, you know. So yeah. So I think Animal Kingdom would be Expedition Everest, definitely.
I think that's a no-brainer, isn't it? In terms of, like you said, it ticks a lot of the boxes that you've mentioned there with regards to the way it looks, the way it rides, and everything.
And then I want to say Navi River Journey because of the variety of it, but then at the same time, I'm trying to like, I don't know, because the Kilimanjaro Safaris would also be very unique. Okay, I'm gonna say Kilimanjaro Safaris, right? So kind of a hybrid, like Magic Kingdom could have been. So now it's Kilimanjaro Safaris, sort of around Expedition Everest, right? Like just kind of trying to take these concepts and condense them to their like most.
They fit together.
Attraction.
They fit together, don't they? Quite well, don't they? In terms of where they're based, and yeah, I mean, I must say I'm exactly the same as you on that. So,
okay.
This one might be a little bit trickier, especially the way you're designing your park. But we got Hollywood Studios,
right? Because that's all IPs right there. Okay, I'm gonna go with Tower of Terror because it's iconic. It's a different type of ride. I'm trying to see if I can dip into different types of rides if I can. Because now I have a bunch of roller coasters. I have a water ride. I have a thrill ride. So let's see, what's a little bit more. I think it'll have to be Rise of the Resistance, right? Just for that factor of just absolute storytelling. It is a combination of multiple different ride systems, which I think is like brilliant. You know, like it's any ride that you could experience that's not just a quick little 3-minute or less, you know, people mover experience, you know, that it's like a real ride that starts a story and concludes it, you know, like that is like phenomenal, you know. And it's an easy answer because it's Rise of the Resistance, and it's like just one of those rides that everyone just loves, but it deserves it, you know, because if every ride was like that, you know, like that'd be phenomenal, I think.
Yeah, I think it was a bit of a game changer, wasn't it? It did set a standard, a new standard, I think, that what we expect from the stuff moving forward. So again, we got another big monument there in the Tower of Terror. So we've got, again, a good looking park here. And now I think this is where it is. I reckon you're going to be stumped on these two. I reckon we might have to edit this clips down because we've got Universal.
Okay. Universal will be ET. I think.
Very good choice. Yeah.
Yeah. personal bias there. So it'll be ET and Men in Black, Alien Attack.
Very good choices.
think
Originality there. I mean, you've now got the ability to play a game and get your points up, as well as go back, maybe said to the original ET ride, which as a family we absolutely love that. So
and they both involve aliens, right? Little hybrid with that too. That could happen.
Absolutely, yeah.
Maybe you get a blaster in the ET ride, and you're trying to blast the government officials or whatever you're trying to escape.
Yeah,
from.
we're not trying to blast ET. Let's just clarify.
Yeah.
You get to the
or you make it to ET's home planet, and then you're blasting.
Yeah, you're blasting all the little ETs. No, that's not. And then Islands of Adventure.
All right, Islands is going to be Hagrid's Magical Creatures Motorbike Adventure. Definitely. There's a real factor because of the storytelling, because of just like the monumental impact it's had on just like what a story coaster can be, and what else Islands of Adventure just has. Okay, all right, I'm going to kind of dissect from what I said earlier. It's going to be Spider-Man. I think Spider-Man is just, to this day, it's one of the best done screen rides. Just how it just incorporates so many different elements of like real practical things and then screens, and just decades later it is just still so good.
I think it's a very good storyline too. Very quick, dissected story, but one that I think you just fall in love with as soon as you ride it. But what I want to just cover there, so I sometimes have the travel sickness and the motion sickness from. Have you ever had it on Spider-Man?
Not on Spider-Man that I noticed. I don't think Spider-Man. I think it just has Transformers maybe here and there. Transformers I think is a lot more, at least moving parts on the screen, like a lot more to like visually look at. So that can get me for Transformers. Spider-Man I think it's just a little bit more simple, just visually with what you're looking at, and then the transitions between scenes and like the real set pieces and props and stuff. Spider-Man's okay for me.
Okay.
Or at least it has been. I don't know if this equilibrium stuff gets different as I get older. Then maybe everything will be worse and worse. But you never know. Take some Dramamine.
Absolutely. So we've got the rides. What I'm going to throw a little curveball in there now, and for the evening show. So obviously we've had a good day in the park. We've ridden all of the rides. You now have to pick one, but I'm not going to give you. So you can pick any show, any nighttime show from any of the parks. Which one would you choose?
Any nighttime show from any of the parks. Okay. It would have to be Fantasmic. It'd feel a little choppy in terms of the representation of other, because there's not really, I didn't choose any rides involving Mickey Mouse, right? So it might be a little bit random, but as far as like
we put it in its separate land. It's the Mickey land to the side there, maybe. Yeah. Okay. But yeah, a great choice. I mean,
Fantasmic.
How have you? I'm not sure. Have you been back to see it since this reopened?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And was that a bit of was that a magical moment to be back?
Yeah. No, that felt good. It's just like one of the best moments. Just like that particular finale. Just feelings consistently every time, no matter. Like that finale is like the consistent mental reminder and justification where it's just like, this is why I'm here. This is why I'm still doing this. And like, as long as that moment, just makes me feel something, then like, this is all still worth it. This is all still happening, in terms of just my appreciation of it and just how I'm able to, devote so much of my time and my passions into it.
Obviously what we're going to do is, so we would name this park, and I'm not going to ask you to name your park now, but what we do is once we've discussed it in a little bit more off screen and you've got a name, I'm now going to build. So let's take a look at your park. So there it is, Roy's Park, and name to be. Let's see, you're not seeing the name, but the name is now in that clip. So we've got there. But
Looks good to me.
it looks great, right?
I can't wait to go there.
I've already bought an annual pass for that, so I will be there. And yeah, so that's like a nice segment to kind of finish us off. And all I wanted to then do is just to ask you how you are, how Brennan is, how the pets are, and everything else, and just get an idea. How's 2023 looking for you guys?
It's looking pretty good. It's optimistic. It's like personally, I guess, just like still kind of recovering from just like the disruption of the parks being closed, of like work displacement, and just kind of getting back to normal. Just sort of continuing to do what I'm doing with YouTube and enjoying it. I think that's the most important part of what I'm trying to do, is like, you can look at numbers and likes and comments and views and subscriber counts and have that stagnation be kind of like a demotivator, but for me, it's just like, I still want to do things, and I still want to go to have a good time at these theme parks. I still want to have fun trips there with Brennan, with my family. I still want to go places. We have hopes to go on trips, hopefully at some point soon. We need to go back to Disneyland. We want to go up to Tennessee to go to, we want to go to Dollywood, at some point soon. We have all of these cravings to go places and do things that we've just been not prioritizing at the moment, so we hope to do that hopefully this year. And just like, again, just like the important part of just like making memories and just having fun while doing it, and that's always been like a monumental goal of mine. And with every video that I upload, it's just like, it's a fun memory to look back on, despite, the video analytics of it, the most fun that we have are just like going back to look at old videos, and like every single video is a memory, and that's, I think, the most important takeaway of just like what I do on YouTube, and just like what keeps me going. I just turned 30 this past year, so with turning 30 coming into a new decade, it's been a lot of that mental anxiety of just like, what am I doing, and why am I doing it, what am I doing professionally, and how is that affecting like what I'm trying to do with YouTube, and and I think like the big takeaway from that is just to breathe, and to just keep enjoying it for what it is, and the incredible memories that it's enabled me to have, and to be fostered of, like it's fun to like use YouTube sometimes as an excuse to go places and do things, and that's a critique of potentially letting YouTube be the thing that dictates how I do my life, but then again, I think that that's the point personally, is just like, how cool is it where otherwise I would not really be doing anything? I'd be sort of sitting at home watching something streaming on TV, and not against anybody that does that and enjoys doing that, but the fact that I can instead think of some wacky challenge or reason to go to one of the theme parks that's 15 minutes away, is such a cool thing. So I try to monopolize on that and remember that as much as possible, because it's important, and it makes me have a good time, and it makes me share some fun memories that other people apparently like.
Yeah, and take advantage of it as well. And I'm sure anyone that's watching from the UK and watching your stuff from the UK, it's obviously, we all wish that we could be there, and we wish that we could be doing this, and obviously what we just want is we want people that like you to just go and take advantage of it and utilize what you've got there. And sometimes we're very critical of other people and other YouTubers, we're like, please, just like, we'd love to be at the park now, but that's just a personal thing. We just
I have that self-awareness too, where it's just like, it's such a cool opportunity, and I don't need to go there every single day, but and that's why like I go to all of the theme parks as much as I can, because again, I mentioned earlier, like some people are just Disney, some people are just Universal, and that's fine. Some people never go to SeaWorld or these other theme parks, as well. But like, how cool to be able to go to all of them as much as I want, and kind of have that opportunity that so many people, I'm sure, are very envious of, so it's cool, so I got to do it, because other people wish that they could, and I can, so I got to. Right.
That's it. And I think I speak for everyone. I say, please just keep doing what you're doing. The content is incredible. Just the way you're creating, what you're creating is fantastic. And I hope that more people become aware of who you are and what you're doing. And because you are to me, the most genuine YouTuber that's doing what you're doing. So please just keep doing that. And like I said, I'm pretty sure I speak for thousands of people when I say, please just just keep doing it for us, because we absolutely love it. We really, really do.
Uh-oh. Mike's camera might have died. By the host. No. He was just in the middle of saying so many nice things. Whoops.